Alrighty, I think we're on. We're live. If anyone can send us Doritos in the chat, that way we can actually understand if we're live or not.
Yeah, I've got it up.
Oh no, but audio wise.
Well, that's true.
Good.
We got Doritos.
We got hands.
Oh, well, we got hands. That's not even What's wrong with you, Amblaza? Come on, mate.
Move your mic back a little bit. I think the way it picks us up now is a lot better. So, hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Alrighty, so it's the new night.
Yes.
This is how we're going to do it from now on.
Absolutely. Absolutely no forethought on what we're going to be talking about.
No. I finished work and then he reminded me that we're actually doing the podcast tonight because it's a new night.
Absolutely. I remembered whilst eating pizza and looked at the time and went, oh shit, what's the day?
I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, lovely.
With a couple of other fellas and I'm like, oh, you guys have to go.
Everybody out.
Pretty much.
Oh, lovely.
So, how you been?
Amazing.
Amazing. That's good.
Getting to play D&D.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
And we have been pretty much been playing D&D. Like our life has now hit that
Shifted back again to D&D.
Yeah, but this time it's a bit different. Last time we would just play the sessions that would be corresponding on Wednesday and Friday. And now we play sessions that correspond those days too, but then we're also doing more background stuff and
more content that we're making, and it's good.
All right. What?
Oh no, I was just checking chat, but it's
so
pre-talk.
Well, welcome anyone that's never been in here before. I'm your host Blake Ignatius,
and I'm Jacob Smith.
Yeah, and we are the hosts of the Technical Difficulties podcast, which is what you're currently watching now. I just want to ask some questions and see how it goes, and not like that, but just other questions. One of them is that you're happy to start playing D&D again.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, and how are you finding the campaign so far? You've only played two sessions. We're 4 sessions deep into the show, and if you haven't seen it, just onto our page, and there'll be a link to our YouTube channel where you can catch up to it, or you can watch the VODs that are left here on Twitch.
Absolutely. Look, honestly, I kind of came to a bit of a realization today. And due to what we've talked about with my current character, I think I've not been getting as much into character as I could.
Not yet.
I think I've been holding myself back a little bit there. I had a full voice and everything lined up for the character, and I just didn't do it.
Well, that's the point, right? The first session is generally how the character will always play.
Absolutely.
And it was the first session out of like 2.5 years. And that's how the characters get generally made, is that you'll have a plan in your mind and then it'll always move forward and it won't be that plan.
Yeah.
Great example is when Rob and Arthur, two of the Wednesday players, actually played two characters, one named Sid and Balathorn.
This is campaign 1 stuff. Very, very start of campaign 1. There was meant to be the two characters. They knew each other. One was a wizard, one was a ranger.
Thank you for the beard comments. We worked very hard on them.
So basically, the ranger would carry an oversized backpack, and the wizard, being a gnome, halfling?
No.
Gnome would hide out in the backpack and just kind of peek out and fire off spells. And that way they were sort of protected in combat as well, because they can't just go, there's the wizard, get him.
Yeah.
Didn't turn out anything like that. Session 1, he was out of the backpack facing for the two of them.
No, there's a famous quote in our group now from that first session. I am a lone wolf.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The ranger said this. The one that's meant to be the face of the two of them.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to join the party. I'm a lone wolf.
So after the other two players left, which one being Jacob, they left the tavern, and then the gnome jumps out of the backpack, goes off at the ranger, and starts driving off.
do it myself.
Yeah. And he's just like, hey, yeah, of course I want to join it. We need money. and that's what happened. And
Just never got back in the bag.
but that's a great example of how your character is just not going to be exactly how you plan it out when you're making it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because it naturally falls to who you are as a player. That means every decision you're going to make is going to be natural.
Yes.
And that's what Balathorn did for the rest of the campaign. Another famous quote between all of us.
Do we really need Gerald?
Do we really need Gerald? Which was his animal companion that was stepped on a trap. And he was like, instead of risking our lives, how about we just let the dog die?
The dog die. Yeah. Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely times. That's why my dog in this is called Gerald, by the way, because I was told it can't be Gerald again. So it became Gerald.
Yeah, Captain.
It's spelt slightly differently, so it's not the same Gerald, but I'm sure we'll be asking if we really need Gerald at some point.
In the chat, Captain Zoidbeard. Did I say that right?
Zodabeard?
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
If we said it wrong, feel free to bag the crap out of us.
Oh, yeah.
So I couldn't pronounce your character for months.
Oh, months? Try at least a year and a half.
Oh, you weren't alive for a year and a half.
You still couldn't pronounce it when I was dead.
But yes, the early sessions, so your session 1 and your session 2, if it continues to be like that with your character, it is going to define who your character is, and it's going to be the real experience.
The sass.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I always say is that you always want to build your character with a little bit of you.
Yeah.
Because that means it's always going to be genuine.
Absolutely. Well, that's where the sass came out.
Yeah, exactly.
That character was not meant to be sassy. She was meant to be very reserved and like open up over time, and then like 4 sessions in.
Yeah. I remember you telling me this. Yeah.
And then like 4 sessions in, I'm out like, just being a bitch.
You were very sassy, but you were also the one that put yourself in front of danger over everyone else so often.
Yeah. But that was the point. I wasn't meant to be like that. I was meant to sit in the back and be like, okay, I guess I have to do something.
Yeah.
So I played a warlock. I very specifically chose the celestial warlock because they got both healing and cleric spells.
Yeah.
So I started off the first session, 2 sessions. When did we get to the church with Father Torrent?
Oh, the church. That would be session 8.
Okay, so the first 7 sessions, I never used Eldritch Blast.
No.
I was like, no, because that's going to be the turning point for my character. Like, I'm not going to show people that I'm a warlock. I'm going to do all the little warlocky things in the background,
Yeah.
and I'm going to present myself as a cleric,
Yeah.
as a healer, as someone that's there to take care of people. And then once that happened, I was just like, cool. This is a story arc for me. And I just dropped it like a sack of shit. But like everything about that character was not meant to be the way it was.
Your character. So, what do you mean by having? There were only 5 goblins, but they thought there were 30. Was it a spell that was making them believe that there were 30, or was it just the fact of the tactics that you were doing just made them believe that there were more than what they were?
Oh, like a behind the scenes kind of
like
setting
they're in the
traps and
bush
stuff.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Could have been a lot.
Firing arrows from the bushes, and there's one coming from here, one from here,
Yeah.
and they just keep doing their things. And
Yeah. No.
failed bluff check.
Oh yeah, right. No, that will generally do it.
Yeah.
Um.
Oh yeah, you and what army? Oh shit.
Yeah. No. It's.
Turns out there was no army.
But again, with like little things like that, that makes the game fantastic because then
Absolutely.
it makes them think that there's more danger to what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, did they kill all the goblins, or did they just try and like retreat? Like, what happened with that? Because I'm quite interested. Because I couldn't imagine like a goblin coming up to you and going, "Oh yeah."
There's 29 more of me in the bushes back there, and we're gonna your day up. Like, shit, that sounds awesome. Give us your shit, otherwise we will attack.
Yeah. Well, so when it comes to your first character, it's always going to be different. It's
Yeah.
always going to be different. Yeah. And if you understand the way, well, just not my mic. You guys probably just heard all that.
I would hope so.
Whenever I occasionally am able and allowed the character to play, I always have the thought of me being in it. And
Yeah.
in this game of Dungeons and Dragons, I'm very confident.
Yeah,
I'm always very confident in what I'm doing.
I have noticed that in
my
that
characters.
one shot that I
In the one shot
started.
we did when I was the ranger,
Yeah.
I have been very confident in that. I have also been very confident in the terms of when I played the Blade Singer.
Yes.
I was a wizard and I had the most kills because I used the Blade Singer subclass, which allowed me to use swords. I feel the difference between a good DM and a bad DM is narrative. And in a fight, we had some real funky stuff happen.
Look, funky stuff's always well and good, but when is that what you mean by the narrative? Because
No,
you can be a really
No,
good
no.
DM but not have a really good way with words. It just depends on how you present a threat.
Well, there's always 3 types of DMs. There's always 3 categories you can put them in.
Mm-hmm.
One that's good by the book, one that's good at making a story, and one that's good at both.
Yeah, okay.
And it doesn't make none of them bad. It makes it not your preferred style.
Yeah.
Of like that having a DM. Because, for instance, I've met a DM that reads the book and generally knows the rules and follows that. And it's fantastic. I know a DM that is great at narrative but can be overwhelmed by the book. And then I also know a DM that is great at doing both. He was my DM for many years. And that's kind of what got me to become that.
Yeah.
I just paid attention. The best sessions he ever ran, though, were the ones that he remembered all the rules. He didn't look at a module and he looked at his own games and he just pulled out some alcohol and started drinking. And it was so good. And so
It just
fun.
went for it.
Yeah.
That's fair. Balance between narrative, power, fantasy, and also danger element.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is. I will 100% agree with you because the danger element is understanding a fight that the players can win and can lose, understanding that 50-50. Even if
Yeah.
it's like a 45% loss, but a 55% win always puts pressure.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot.
Well, we played a really short like start of a campaign during
Yeah, it is very
lockdown
hard.
online, and at level we started at 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at level 1 we ended up fighting 4
Ogres.
ogres.
Yeah.
4 of them.
No, you fought 3 and came up to
There
blue
was
dragon.
4.
Yes.
There was 4. We skipped one of them.
Yes. That is
No, we
correct.
didn't.
No,
We
there
fought them
were
both
3.
because we went through and then we came back again.
No. So
there
there's
was
one
3
at
of
the
them.
start, one on
Yeah.
one side, one on the other side.
Yeah. So we
And
fought
you-
3 ogres
Yeah.
and then came up against a
Blue dragon.
blue
But
dragon.
that fight was 100% optional
Yeah.
because there was an option to close the door and there was always an option to get out, which
And
you
we
guys
just
were already
pissed off
pretty
the
much
other way.
fighting.
Yeah. But we fought all 3 ogres and we killed all of them. Only one of us, as it turns out, me, went down.
Yeah, but you never died.
But
You always had
didn't
a way to
die.
get it.
Like went to 0 and then got basically straight back up.
Yeah.
And then we were just like, yeah, okay, let's
Yeah.
go.
And a lot
we
of
killed 3 ogres.
a lot of DMs wouldn't run that because the book says a challenge rating of 2, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I know my players and I know definitely how they were built to do it. And you guys did it. And it's not like
Yeah.
the ogre didn't hit you.
Yes.
It hit you.
Yeah.
And you guys still were able to take all 3 of them down.
I think I went down in 2 hits in that as well.
Yeah. And then I ran one of my close friends. He was going to run a dungeon for his friends. So I was like, okay, if you need help, let me know. So then we created it, and I created this whole dungeon for him, so that way he had something to play off and run. And I threw in a flesh golem, which a flesh golem is a CR of 5. It's a challenge rating 5.
I think we were all level 2
Yeah.
when
And
we
his
did that
group
one.
was level 3, and he was worried that his party was going to die.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Fine then. I'm going to throw my group in there. So there were 4 of you.
Yeah. And we're level 2.
Yeah.
We'd leveled up
You were
once.
yeah, you're level 2. And it wasn't just a fight. It had coils in the room that would heal it, would damage you, and all this stuff, and you won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It literally had a method of healing itself.
Yeah.
And we still
was,
beat it.
Action economy wins that.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to know as a DM is action economy matters a lot.
So strong. Oh my god.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the session that you guys had.
Yeah.
If you'd like to know, when it comes to our D&D games, I do not pre-write anything. Like, I think the map.
Yeah.
And I have everything stored up in here, and I guess it. Like, I just go with the flow of the whole entire game.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to, like, backstories, we recorded on my computer videos of us talking about the backstory, so I will actually go into it. No, Arthur, I'm not reading yours if you're watching this. Not until it comes up. But we fleshed it out completely by you speaking to me. And I was like, okay, well, let's do this. So the sessions always change when we are playing. For instance, Maddie, my partner, she was actually sick during that game.
Yeah.
So she was unable to attend. It wasn't the virus going around, but it was, she did have a stomach virus. So none of us wanted to get it because if you get that, then you're down
Yeah.
for a while. So I knew you were going to die.
Yeah. If we
So-
went and did that encounter.
Yeah. But I already had things planned in my head and different scenarios to go with based off what you did. If you never went there, something else was going to happen for the
Yeah.
night. And that would keep you entertained and hopefully keep you guys entertained.
Yeah.
But you went there, you staked it out, and then the guys that you messed with earlier came back.
Yeah.
In theory, you
Oh, we
should have
100% should have won that fight.
Mhm.
We just rolled dog shit all night. Like that. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And well, that is actually the same point as you just wrote down, Captain, where the DM needs to understand the player's limitations. And I
Yeah.
did. I definitely understood it. But as we saw Zephyr, Dylan's character killed 2 of them.
In one hit each.
Yeah.
One of them had previously taken some damage, but
It was-
the damage
it was-
he
it was
did was enough to
irrelevant.
kill out
Yeah.
right
he did
anyway.
32,
Didn't
it
matter.
had 20 health.
Yeah.
And it was irrelevant. But with 2 players not rolling any good,
Yeah. Well, even Dylan wasn't rolling that good that night. Like it was those 2 hits that went well. Everything else just didn't.
yeah. But in saying that, if the fourth player had been there, the barbarian, it would have been a sweep. Didn't matter if you two were rolling bad.
Yeah.
That third person makes the difference. It's another
Absolutely.
whole hit points and everything. Even though action economy outdid you, the damage you deal and keeping up with their action economy.
And it still would have outdone us by one attack per round. Like, we still would have been down one attack per round.
Yeah, but if Dylan
Like,
killed
with
someone
Matty
and
there.
then killed another one as quickly as he did, then you actually had
Just turns the
action and
tide.
everything. Yeah.
Like, immediately.
So, but sometimes that's how the dice fall.
Yeah.
That's what's so great about this game is the fact that it changes all the time and your rolls just aren't great and you can't help that. But it's fantastic about it. It's what the randomness of this game is.
Absolutely.
And, you know, as being a DM that likes to keep things fresh and likes to keep things random by not writing down a story.
Yeah.
The reason why I don't do it, by the way, is because it stops railroading. It stops me forcing you on a track, and it stops you trying to lead away from a track because I don't have anything set.
Yeah.
You're doing what you want to do. I present something. If you say no, something else will get presented.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes.
I remember in previous talks we've spoken about when there's like fights that we've already come up to and we're not quite doing yet, that you run the fights using our stat blocks too.
Yes.
So that's how he knows that we can kill 3 ogres in one session without a long rest. So that it's possible.
Yeah. So one thing I do is that I'm not amazing at this game, but I definitely understand it. I understand it enough to do what I'm about to tell you. I keep all my... This is something that all inspiring DMs should do. I think it's fantastic. It doesn't take too long because, you know, the turns. So I keep all the character sheets on me.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to run a fight that I'm iffy about, I will actually set up the board exactly how I'm going to set it up when they're going to encounter this. I will place it and I will place them where I believe they're going to start. Then I will roll initiative on their behalf. Generally, it doesn't matter because it's just determining who goes where.
Yeah.
But
which
generally
can be really important.
Yeah, but that's only if it's not one thing.
Yeah.
So I would run the fight a total of 5 times, but it's only if they don't win it. So it's best out of 5. I always run it. And the reason why I always run it best out of 5, because if I run it best out of 3, the dice change.
Yeah.
I don't count crits and I don't count critical fails.
Mm-hmm.
I always just calculate them as a 2 and a 19.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's a hit and a miss.
Yeah. So I go through and playing the character so optimally.
Yeah.
I make sure that they do the most boring bog standard stuff to make sure they can win this fight.
Yeah.
And if they win it 3 times, I'm guaranteed running the fight. If they win it 2 times, but the 3rd time was just close, I will still run it because their decisions change everything.
And that allows for us to come up with weird and funky shit that
and
just absolutely turns the entire encounter on its head.
Yeah. And another thing that I do is if they lose and they win 2 times and the 3rd time was barely, I don't run the fight. I change it. And I will never, and you generally do this if I understand that this will be coming up and they don't know about it, because then I will always change what they're fighting that can replace it. Because generally
it's generally like boss fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do this for generic fights. Like the human one.
Yeah.
You know? I didn't do it for the
gnolls.
The giant that you're following. I did do it for the gnolls.
You did?
I didn't do it for the starting gnolls.
Yep.
Because
the big fight with
but the end one, because I knew they were
because it's a mini boss.
Yeah. I knew they were hurt.
Yeah.
And I said, I ran it. They won 2 out of 5 and they had 1 very close one. And I was like, okay, there's a little bit of a problem here. So I actually removed one of the hidden gnolls from the game. And that did tip it in their favor, but not 100%. To be honest, if you want to.
I don't know about that. I feel like you need to play with the rules. You have the authority to change rules or to omit things, but if you just say screw the rules, then you fall into a point where nothing you do really matters.
I do agree with both of you, but I think I agree on a different level. So one way is that with the actual players, right? The players generally, if a player is like what they call a rules lawyer, they will always fight you, and it makes the game just not feel great to be in the room with.
It makes everything take longer. It's
But there is something that I believe is called discussion with DM and player communication.
Yeah.
And what that allows is for you to change rules, but also I'm a strong believer in changing rules on the fly to the circumstance that's happening.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're able to change and omit things as you see fit. But I feel like if you just go, you know what, screw the rules. We're not gonna like base this in some semblance of an organized play.
Yeah.
Then you might as well just be writing a book.
Yeah.
Like, because you can just say, oh yeah, they hit. Like, you're like, oh, I want to go and stab the dude, and you're just like, oh, well, you wanted to stab him, so I guess I'll let you do it. Like, I'm not gonna make you roll the hit. Like, there's certain bits of the rules that help the narrative write itself.
Yeah.
Which is also, oh, okay, we've got to cross this gorge, and no one's really thinking about it. And one player's just like, you know what, I'm a jump. And they fail the jump and they end up falling, and it's like a really big moment.
Yeah.
If you're just like, yeah, I'm just going to jump across and go, okay, you jump across, then.
But also,
what was the point of putting the gorge there?
But the one great thing, right, is and I think this is the point he's getting at. Let's say, there's again with jumping. Let's say there's heaps of pillars, you got to jump across it. You look at their dexterity, right?
Yeah.
And you have a certain like threshold you meet, and it makes it easy. And then you just ask, are you proficient in athletics?
Yeah.
If they say yes.
But that's still using the rules.
Yeah. And then it goes, okay, well, you are fine to jump.
Yeah.
You make every jump without a hassle. And then someone goes, oh, I'm not proficient in athletics. You've got to roll.
Yeah.
And, that is something you would self-make. But there's rules that we've changed actually to fit narrative points.
Yeah.
The spellcasting rules.
Yeah.
In our games, if you have an action spell and a bonus action spell, you can cast both in the same turn. Just to make it fair on the one condition that as long as one of them does not need material components.
Or somatic.
No, I think somatic's fine because mostly the somatic is like moving your hands, right?
Yeah, I thought the point was
No, because
if it was voice only, you can just move it there because you're doing it with the other one.
Yeah, well, the reason why is because a somatic component as a bonus action is mundane.
Yeah.
So it might just be a flick of the wrist.
True.
That's why I'm kind of leaning in on that. Basically,
the idea is that why wouldn't you be able to cast a fireball and then healing word someone?
Yeah.
It says in the description of the spell, you speak a word.
Yeah.
Why is that not allowed to happen? Because you've already cast a spell.
Yeah.
I understand from a gameplay perspective where you've got to kind of nerf some things to make it not super abusable.
Yeah, and overpowering.
But I like to think that our group isn't, our groups aren't the kind that are just going to go, oh, well, you've introduced this. Well, I guess I'm just going to abuse that to the point where it becomes unfun.
Well, I still would say get them to roll the damage on what you did, only for one reason. Players love rolling dice.
Oh, yeah.
If that rogue does sneak attack, they're going to get so excited when they see how much damage they do. But I wouldn't get them to roll to hit. If they're sneaking up, it's a level 2 guard. And generally they have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get them to roll to hit.
Yeah. It kind of like when we were staking it out. It could have been a case of, yeah, right, well, you're just sitting there until something comes about and you're just sitting there totally vigilant. You could have said, all right, well, I guess you can all just succeed and we'll just move on to the encounter. But in saying, well, we'll do advantage, it still allowed us to roll dice, which is always fun.
Technically, by the rules as written, you can fall asleep in the middle of a town and be invulnerable.
Invulnerable? Why would you be invulnerable?
Do you mean vulnerable?
Vulnerable? Like, yeah. Well, I mean, that's a coup de grace. right?
Well, it's
If
not
you're
just
just
that.
like,
You fall under the incapacitated,
yeah,
which means that it's a critical hit.
yeah. Well, if you fell asleep, you'd be unconscious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it falls under the incapacitated.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, they're two separate conditions.
are they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Unconscious, incapacitated is like, it comes under unconscious.
Okay.
Because unconscious, you're also not aware.
Yeah.
So just basically anything that happens to you happens, basically.
If that's a rule in the DMG, then I call that stupid, and I would never do it. If there is a rule that says that you don't take damage when you're asleep, then
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
if you were being hunted,
That would make the sleep spell the most powerful thing.
I can't sleep.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cast sleep on myself. So screw all of you bad guys.
Like, I just think that
It's amazing.
I think at that point that sleep would just be, a defensive spell on yourself more.
Yeah.
As you said before.
Because if you cast sleep on a group, then they are vulnerable. That's why you do it. Because you take down those 4. That 5th guy, you go and you attack him until he's dead, and then you come and you go one at a time and wake them up with the hit. But now they've taken damage, and the rest of your party goes through and hits them. Then they die, and you go to the next one.
Oh no, it is an auto crit. Because in the conditions it says if someone is unconscious, which asleep is unconscious in the game's rule by written, you have advantage, and if you're incapacitated, any hit successful is an automatic crit.
Yes.
And that you can find that actually in the back of the DMG.
Yeah.
Where you find conditions. That's where it'll tell you that one.
Any hits an automatic crit. And in the case of having no hit points, any amount of damage is an instant failed saving throw.
Yes, that's exactly how that works. So even though they auto crit, if they can't hit the AC, they do no damage. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
They still have to roll to hit.
Yeah.
And they have advantage on doing it, so it's very highly going to. But if they miss, then they don't actually roll any damage. They don't get a crit. That is true. But if they roll and hit, then it is.
It's an auto crit, even if it only meets the AC.
Yeah. D&D has so many rules, and it actually has quite a few conflicting rules.
Yeah.
Not too many. They wrote out this book very well, but it makes it hard because there'll be a rule where you go, oh, or a check where it goes, oh, which one does this fall under, right?
I think that's intentional though.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to use skills that aren't meant for something. Like in the case of how the books tell you to roll up a barbarian.
Yeah.
They're like, you want strength and you want con, and basically dump anything else because you want these two, which would naturally mean that you've got no charisma. But as a barbarian, there's this big, strong, burly, angry thing, you should be able to intimidate.
Yeah.
So it allows you to use your strength score to intimidate. I think that's the whole point of why it's vague like that. Because it allows you to do it. It opens up the option for you to hand wave that.
Yeah. Well, actually, Carlton, are you someone who follows the rules? Are you someone who free flows, or are you someone who kind of mix the both together? Like, what type of dungeon master are you, or a dungeon master that you play with is like what type do they do? Because I'm curious. Because obviously, we know a little some other groups that do play Dungeons and Dragons, and it's very weird and different. You mix the both, to be honest. Yeah, I believe that's the best way.
Yeah.
I believe that you got to remember, I'm not really fond of when people go, I'm God. I do what I want.
Yeah.
But I am fond of people that treat it like they're some like drunk idiot sitting in a tavern reading a story to people. And then they go, well, this part of the book doesn't make sense. So instead this happens. And I love the thought of that.
Yeah.
They are very good guidelines. Actually, in the books, it says
it literally
all
says
of these are guidelines.
It's
not.
It's the first page of the DMG.
I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in the DMG.
Yeah, I think it's the very first page, and it says
But
this book is not to be used as gospel, or like it's like not worded like that, but it says this book is not gospel. You as the DM have full range to omit or add any rules you see fit.
Yeah, and I think that another difference between a good DM and a great DM, because there's not a lot of bad DMs, because the bad DM character doesn't fall into it. What a bad DM is to most people is a DM that doesn't suit their like.
Oh, I
playstyle.
don't know. There is bad DMs. They're the DMs that are squarely against the players. Like
Yeah, but
the
some
horror
peop-
story
yeah, but
DMs.
some people
There are
love
bad
that.
DMs.
They love that fighting.
Oh no,
and
when I
trying to-
say against the players, I mean like it's a power trip for the
Oh.
DM.
Okay, then
Yeah,
yeah, I guess
yeah.
that. But what I'm trying to get at, the difference from making a good and a great, is a good DM will just follow the rules and then try their best at what they're doing to make a resolution. A great DM
We'll come up with a
will
reason
come up
why.
with a reason why, but not only that, cater to the player.
Yeah.
Cater to the player, because they are the people that are playing this game.
Absolutely.
Um,
You need to make it fun for the people that are
exactly.
playing. It's a game.
They are the ones that are playing.
Yeah.
You are the one running a story for them. I'm very fortunate that I love it, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing it for as long as I have been. But the thing is, it's not just for me. I run the story for you guys, so
Yeah.
you guys get excited, get thinking, get talking, get fighting, get all that stuff. But I love watching it, because
Yes.
I've got front row seats
To all
this
the
story.
bullshit.
Yeah, because I'm only writing half of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not even writing it. You make the decision.
Yeah.
And it goes like that. For instance, like a narrative thing is that when a player suggests something, that's way better than what you.
Oh yeah, you always just
I've
run with it. Always just run with
You,
it.
you know how Arthur, like, okay, Arthur, if you're watching this, your world's about to be blown. You know how Arthur would go, I knew it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Of
It's
course
because he
did,
said
because
it
he was the one
and
that
it
made
changed it into it. Yeah, I know that that's the case.
Exactly. If you have no players, you have no game.
There are literally memes about it.
Yeah.
Like
What?
about exactly that.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
player thought it was this. DM starts scribbling down notes. Oh my god, that's so much better.
Yeah, but there's something that people have to remember, especially DMs. Your plot twist will be good. You'll love it. But it's not about what you love. It's about what they love. And if they get it right, even if you're writing the plot twist and they actually get it right, so you're not changing it to match what they said, you're keeping it to the way they go, and they said, I knew it. Let them
That's a
have it.
good moment.
Because they were that invested in your story to
Yes.
understand what was going on.
Yes.
It was like during campaign 1, their first bad guy. He was a dragonborn warlock who was dressed as a cleric. Sounds familiar?
Yes.
Was not your character, but it was someone to represent the other side of you.
Yeah.
And his name was Father Torin. And
So this is who we met in the church that I was
No.
talking about.
forced you to use Eldritch Blast after he used it.
Yes.
And
Like, oh, we're doing that, are we?
yeah. So during that, they met him for the first time. And literally they wrote in their book, this is the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not give away anything to make him
I still no, you did a little bit. I still remember this entire part. So myself and one of the other players, Jordan, my brother actually, we got thrown in prison because we were given a sack of money and his character's like, I want my cut now while we're in the middle of town. So we went into a back alley so we could split it and we got caught by the guards. They were like, oh, you've just pulled off a heist or something. We're going to take you in and investigate the matter. While we're in the prison, there was another character, and me being all for role play, I was like, oh, I'm going to talk to this son of a bitch. And it sparked
Kyle.
off this whole thing.
Kyle.
Kyle, that was his name.
Yeah.
I didn't remember his name. Anyway, long story short, he was up for death row. There was nothing we could do about it. And I was like, well, I'm going to go and see him off after we'd gotten released and have a friendly face in the crowd because this was like a whole public execution thing. And on rolling a perception check, saw this Father Torin in the in the crowd, muttering to himself, smiling. That's where it started. I'd never heard of Father Torrent to that point. All I'd known was that there was someone from another town, and that's how it all came about.
He was from Zendikar.
Oh, so I'm more talking about what I got from
Oh,
in the prison.
Yeah.
It was someone did this, someone framed me, and it was in this town. And after seeing that, we kind of like followed from a distance to see what direction he'd leave in, and left towards that town. We're like, oh, it's this son of a bitch.
Yeah. But they knew it, and
Yeah.
I didn't change it. I go, oh, guess what? You were wrong, because it would ruin the narrative that that had been set up.
Yes.
And yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And the thing about it is that you said it get emotionally like invested. One way to get your players emotionally invested is, as I said at the start of this, they make their characters, tell them to put a little bit of themselves inside the characters.
Yeah.
When they do bonds, flaws, and stuff, they never look at the book. I say, write what you believe this character's gonna have.
Yeah.
And some of you do play off it, some more than others.
Absolutely. And that's always the way it's going to be. But the fact that you've got it and you've committed to it, whether you act on it or not, you've committed to something, and so you start becoming invested in who the character is. They become real.
There are multiple things from our first campaign that I can actually say that has you see emotional investment into it, and it mattered.
Yeah.
So there was the time that you and Alex got captured.
Yeah.
And the way that Caitlin reacted to, we have to go save them, after them trying to decide.
Well, that was after we stayed and went with her because she went to go explore.
Exactly.
That was the whole
Felt
deal.
bad.
Yeah.
And her in real life, she's not a loud person, but she yelled at Jordan, saying, "No, we are going to save them."
Yeah.
And
There's no question about this. We're going.
Another time as well is one of the players died. And I'm not going to name a name because it's a bit, embarrassing.
I was going to say, was this Jordan, and then Kat felt bad again because Jordan died on the quest thing?
No. One of the player characters died. And he got upset because he got really emotionally attached to the character.
Yeah.
And then there was another time where we set up for your characters to turn bad, and then they would meet the god, and the god would bring back your old characters. And during that, man, the air in the room after they turned bad was just stale. They were mad. They were fuming.
There was like a literal, like visceral feel to the air. Like it was like, how dare you do this to us?
Yeah.
How dare you turn your characters like that? Because we got up and left the room.
Yeah.
And they were looking at us like, no, fuck off. Like, that's not how this is happening.
Yeah. And it's because we're all really close in real life.
Yeah.
And then,
so it felt like a personal betrayal from us, the players, not us, the characters.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of emotional investment that you can't get without loving the characters that you're playing and playing with.
Yeah. And then another thing as well is that an hour later, their old characters came back, their first characters, which their characters that are currently alive, they knew, they loved, and you loved them that much. That was hard for you to play other characters.
Yeah.
It was
for you. I made two characters.
You never flew back into it.
Yeah. I made two characters after my initial character died. One of them I was enjoying, but I messed up on character creation. And it just made me look at the character and go, this is an absolute train wreck. I hate it. And then the second one was the one that was built to be arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
And the arrogance kind of turned into, I'm going to go and join the bad guy.
And
because that's the winning side. I'm going to be on the winning side.
And so, well, when you turned bad. An hour later, your characters walked through a door. And the way I always did it was because they left. They went. I told them to go get dinner. I told them
To
day
leave the session
before,
because we weren't there.
leave the session.
Yeah.
But we've already preemptively planned all this. Leave the session, come back when you hear your cue. So they heard their cue, as I said, and the door opens and they walked back in. As I said, you saw Nylia and Delvin walk in, and then the air really changed.
The look on everyone else's faces was incredible.
Yeah, they turned from like angry and mad to excited.
Yeah.
Another one was when here's something for you, because people still don't believe that I went as hard as I could on this. One of my parties, they wrote they were fighting a battle, which is a challenge rating 19. And they were level 7 or 8.
I think it was 8.
Yeah. And there were 6 of them. One of them like lost their arm. Another one got incapacitated. One of the players had to leave that was playing in our groups at the time. They were doing everything they could. And again, people were saying, there's no way you ran that properly. No, I ran that even harder than it should have been. Because there was the whole, I'm going to do a grapple attack, and then I'm going to teleport 120 feet in the air and physically slam you and do all the
So no,
all
he
the
didn't
fall
run it
damage.
properly.
No.
He ran it horribly,
Yeah.
but horribly bad for the players.
Because this thing was meant to be an overarching threat.
Mm.
They've run into it. Run.
That's the
there to
idea. Like,
attack
you
the city.
run if you see this thing. Everyone had done it to this point. And they were like, you know what?
We have to.
We're going to do it.
Yeah.
Because like their characters were invested in the town where it had shown up. They were like, nah, it doesn't matter. If this costs us our lives, we go down fighting.
Yeah. But so when all of them lived
High
and won by a natural 20, how loud they screamed, jumped up.
fived each other.
It was insane.
Yeah.
I've never seen that because it was so lost. They knew it came from, you were either going to hit this and win. Oh no, they didn't even know that. They didn't even know the last attack would win the game.
No.
They won by 2 points.
Yeah.
A natural 20 doing 50 damage, 52 damage when it had 50 health exactly.
Yeah.
And
There was only the one of them left standing at that point.
Pretty much
The other
everyone
one
had
death
been
saving throws.
no,
But they'd been
no,
stabilized.
Not everyone
No?
was on death saving throw. 2 of them were, but the other 2 had exhausted all resources.
That's
The
it.
sorcerer had nothing
No spell
left to do.
slots. Like,
Yeah, and then
so
the other
Captain
sorcerer
said, that you're discount Aragon and I'm discount Bruna Battlehammer.
Stop
I'm
being
okay with this.
just unruly. Well, if it makes you feel any better, I do know who that is. Not just from Magic the Gathering, but like from the card
From the
game
books.
when they brought that. But from the books, I have one that I actually lent to you. Yeah, I lent it to you.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yes, you did.
yeah, it's his story.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love him as a character. I think everyone does. I think he's the most invested character in D&D. And if you want to know who Brunner is, I don't know how to probably pronounce the dwarven name.
Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno.
Yeah.
one, he's also a Magic the Gathering card.
Yeah, I
But
know
two,
him through the
he's
Magic
also
the
in the
Gathering card,
front-
but
he's also in the front of the Player's Handbook.
I was gonna say
When
I
you're
also
building
know.
your
So
character,
I know
it's him.
I know what he looks like. I know who he is. I don't know his story.
Yeah.
So it's close enough.
So if you like to know,
I'll take it.
I can be your Aragon that you ordered off Wish.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's the
people-
orange.
yeah,
It's the
well,
orange that makes me
yeah,
Bruno,
well,
right? Yeah.
It's better than hearing the whole discount Matt Mercer. Like
Yeah.
that one's getting quite old. I've heard that too much now. Especially when we're playing one session and I did one thing and your brother's like, he did that exactly like he does. I'm like, cool. I haven't really
Cool. I'm gonna
I haven't-
stop doing
I
that
haven't
now.
really watched
You.
Critical Role in general. I know who he is from his voice acting. And
Yeah.
I have watched snippets and things when people go, oh, do you know that thing you did a couple of weeks ago? It's like, yeah. Oh, they did it this week. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, that keeps happening.
yeah.
No word of a lie. It keeps happening somehow.
Like, I'm not going to say this because I'm going to be like, rah, rah, rah. But there have been plenty of things that I did, and then months later, or even weeks later, he would do it. And people were like, and the players were like, are there cameras in here? I'm like, no. It's just absolute coincidence. Like, even the Balor he was threatening his players with is the exact
the same model
as mine. And not only that, I painted mine and it's almost identical to his.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is crazy. No way.
The coincidences are off the chain.
Yeah. But it's fine. Like, I don't care. Like, I people enjoy the stories.
It makes it really fun for us.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
It
We just look at it and like, nah, you 100% copied it. Like, wait, fuck you, I did it 2 weeks before he did. Like,
well, it's not
so
exactly,
good.
It's not the exact same. Put that down. It's not the exact same. They're very similar. But the thing is too, is like when I tell people like a plot line, they're like, oh, you copied Critical Role. And I'm like, man.
Oh man, Critical Role did this. I gotta change it now.
This is my life now. But no. So that is very off topic. So yeah, when we do the story, everything is just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I am thinking,
that is where that started, isn't it? Holy crap.
what?
How far off topic we went from that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that tangent was crazy.
Yeah. It was. But it was alright. The main thing was, like, of that whole thing, and this is what this podcast is meant to be. We can go on tangents. That's the point.
Yeah.
It's no longer.
Of course. I just didn't realize how big the tangent
Yeah.
was.
It's no longer that we're stuck to this formula.
To a topic.
Yeah, to a topic. Like, of course, we're going to have topics and we're going to be like, hey, I thought of something, I want to bring it up.
Yeah.
You know.
But this didn't start with us going, okay, we're going to just like reminisce about old times. That came up because of the comments and we started chatting.
Yeah, and I also just asked you a general question.
Yeah. Wait, what's the City of Doors? Do you know what the City of Doors is? Okay, I'd like to know what the City of Doors is because that sounds awesome. And it kind of sounds like a multiverse theory kind of thing. Like, okay, open one of these doors, guys.
Yeah, that's cool. That pretty much just says like, hey, pick a door, and this time you're gonna.
It's Neo in the end of the Matrix.
Which one?
The second one. When he meets the architect, he's like, all right, there's these two doors here. You can either walk through this door and restart everything, or you can walk through this door and not.
Yeah. So this whole campaign is pretty much off the top of my head. I have a general idea what I'm doing. And some players actually have insight because one, they have
like
to know
plot twists and hooks and
and
minor stuff.
Yeah. And generally, if I would talk about a Friday thing, I'll go talk to someone on Wednesday about it. If I have to talk about Wednesday thing,
I'm pretty much right. Oh, it's a multiverse city of unpredictable doors to different dimensions. Ooh. Amazing. That sounds awesome.
Do they play the same characters every time or no?
That could be cool.
Yeah, if they play the same characters every time, and it's like when
like start back at level 1.
Yeah, when they die, they return there, and because there'll be a different group, like the same. They can be the same group of people, right? Or even one of them can interchange, and they're back at level 1, and it's like a multiverse thing where, in this universe, this person didn't exist. Instead, you recruited this one.
Well, it could even be like a video game where you respawn, but you respawn back outside of this little universe. So you walk back through, you're level 1 again. Yeah, well, you can rejoin the party. Yeah. You're level 1 again. That sounds sick. That's such a punishment though. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, you can keep the same character if you're level 1. Everyone else is level 14. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right.
That's cool.
That's terrifying.
I played Dr. Monk in a very short another online campaign.
Yeah, during
that was awesome. Didn't even get to my subclass, but that was awesome.
So yeah, so I do talk about plot hooks and stuff like that. Like I'll tell players about certain things, and they'll hear one thing I've done, and then like a few weeks later, the hero changed it completely.
Yeah.
And I have things in my head that think to the end of the campaign, and we're only just at the start. And the end of the campaign could be like 200 episodes.
Yeah.
And the thing is about it is that the fact is, like, when I explain certain mechanics or the way the fight could go, the one thing I always say is, but that might not be the end of the campaign because it all depends on the like decisions you make.
I hate it. Thanks. I hate it.
But yeah, so that's kind of where
Now that Discount Dan's a bearded devil, I like it more.
but yeah, and it's always good to talk to people about things because you always hear their response and they can help you with things.
Yeah.
And they can help you with hooks and all that stuff. As one thing to take away from majority of this, in my experience, is the fact that I have now officially, your life changes as a DM when you run a campaign that lasts 2 years. No, it was 2 years, wasn't it?
It was 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. That actually goes week by week. The only time we stopped was during the first lockdown of COVID we had in Australia.
But we 100% made up for that when we started.
Yeah. And
we were playing 5, 6, 7 days a week. It was ridiculous. We 100% made up for lockdown.
Yeah. But the thing was, running 3 sessions a week for 3 different groups, having 3 different stories on the top of your head that you don't write down.
Yeah.
You've got to go sit down at the session and just go, this is where we left off. Let's go. It's great because you don't have to do a lot of revision because it's all off the top of your head. The players generally know what they're doing. It's even better now because I just go back and watch the episode.
Oh shit! What did you do?
Yeah. But
there was always jokes with that. We'd start the session like, all right, so last week you did this and this, and I think you did this. Like, no, that was him. Like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
I did this. Oh fuck, that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I had 18 players.
Oh yeah, it was messed up.
At one stage. I had 18 players in total. And I did it. I ran through it all and I did it. And I ran a game Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And I was burnt out. Burnt out, man. It just hits you hard. But I went through it and I did it all and I refound my, I rekindled my love for the game. I lost players. Now, that's also something you got to expect as a DM. You will lose players. You'll lose them to a multitude of things. You lose players for the fact of like their work schedule doesn't match up. Dedication, they don't really have it. They might not enjoy your games that you're running. They, might miss too many sessions and then just feel like not coming back.
It just kind of fizzles out.
A dead character may turn them off returning because the new character, like they can't play the game without that character. They grew so attached to it that they believe the game would be completely different. So you will lose players throughout the time. But the one thing you just never really do is let that affect the game as much as it can. You always continue playing. And that's the best thing about having the game so free in the way it is. You can have it not just revolve around one person.
Yeah.
Because the storyline dictates that it can be anyone.
Absolutely. I feel like you've gone through that as well as a DM, like watching certain characters die. You're like, oh, come on. Like, why? Like, you're the one that did it. You're like, oh, come on. Like, please? Like, can we just not? But the less you let that affect the overall story, the better it is.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I am a massive fan of letting the dice fall where they may.
Yeah.
And, if it leads to a character dying, it sucks, but that's how it goes. Like, I almost TPK'd all of you.
That's how it nearly happened.
But I will admit, there was one time I fudged a die roll.
Yeah.
And my partner at the time who plays, still my partner, she was sitting there behind me and she saw me fudge it. I just knocked it over and made it a natural one. And the thing is, it was a die. It was a natural 20 from my character, like my bad guy. He was 1v1ing by an unfortunate circumstance. If this natural 20 hit, because of the way that the necrotic damage worked, he would have died. So I turned it into a natural 1.
Yeah.
And the reason being that is because the character he was playing was the best character he loved playing.
Yeah.
You could see it every session and he loved it. So I did do that. After that, I never did it again.
Was that the necrotic, or was that when
It was
the
necrotic.
building was coming down with the Quaggoth?
It was, he was fighting a Dragolith.
Dragolith, that's one. Yeah, no, that's when the building was coming down. It wasn't anything to do with.
No, it was in that room
Yeah.
when he fell on the
Yeah.
floor below. And
The problem was that the whole thing was coming down. We couldn't go down and get him.
it
He
was
had to come out himself,
it
wasn't
was
it?
no.
I didn't think it was doing
It has
necrotic
necrotic
Oh,
in its
okay.
attack. And the thing was, because on them it was like dripping
Yeah.
the poison, like the necrotic. And the thing was that if your health goes down to 0 with that necrotic ability that they have, you die.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
Dying in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, but the thing is that they had a cleric. They had a level 16 cleric at the time.
Yeah.
And the cleric could easily bring back to life.
Had invested in
Yes.
the materials to do so as well.
Yeah, but that was the problem as well. That is what you are, right?
Yeah,
if he
yeah.
died there,
It was both.
yeah. If he died there, he was never. You would
We
never
we
get
wouldn't be
him
able to
back.
find him in the rubble.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you were never able to come back. You
Yeah.
would get surrounded too much.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of that, and whole plot hooks and all that stuff is that they've seen stuff that has been put into the world and they've never pursued it.
Yeah.
And man, that just there was a time that they would have gotten their own keep. They sure didn't pursue that. Now, in lore
Was
wise,
that us, or was that one of the other
no, it
groups?
was you guys. Now in lore, one of the dwarf character actually lives in that keep.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did know about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
There was that. There was at the end of the scenario we were talking about, there was this big buff, pale dude that walked out, and they versed one once before, but they never versed it again. So they never actually found out the storyline behind that and why that was going on.
Was I going for that? Or was that a different group?
If I grabbed out the miniature, you would instantly
Okay.
see it.
I don't remember these things.
Exactly. Like this, a 2-year campaign where you paid weekly.
Yeah.
You guys played 250 something episodes.
And yet I still remember the whole fight with Fire Thor and what brought it up, all of it.
Give me 2 seconds.
We're going to find the mini. Oh. Look, you want to find a DM